Okay, my name is Ndura, a Kenyan who lives in Trans Nzoia County in the Republic of Kenya. I'm the proprietor of this botanical garden and also the author of this book. The whole thing to write this book started from this botanical garden. And it came about like this. I felt an urge to collect all the Kenyan plants and bring them here as a way of conserving them and ensuring that they don't become extinct. So I went across the whole country and collected all Kenya's indigenous plants and brought them here, and I started this botanical garden. And it's the only botanical garden in the country which comprises of close to 700 plant species, which were selected on the basis of plants of concern, like those ones which are endangered, critically endangered, vulnerable, medicinal plants, and very rare plants. Those are the ones which comprise this botanical garden. So when I established this botanical garden, I made it a habit of quite often resting here or doing my recreation here. And it is when I was recreating here or doing some recreation here, that's when an idea hit me. I had myself being asked the question, God created all these plants, but which plant did he associate himself more than the others? And then I heard a voice telling me that the plant God associated with and he liked very much and he used quite often is the plant HYSSOP. Because there was nothing God attached more importance than our salvation. That is restoring the relationship between the fallen man and himself. So this he did in a drama which was carried out on Mount Calvary and had a shadow on the Egyptian soil in the form of what we call what we call that drama in Egypt, the Passover. So God staged the drama of liberating us on Mount Calvary, and he had his shadow on in Egypt in the form of the Passover. And I did realize that bring the curtain down in those two dramas, the plant HYSSOP was used in both dramas. It is then that I asked myself, why is it that God, in bringing down the curtain on Mount Calvary and in Egypt, he was using the plant HYSSOP? Because John tells us in John 19, 28 and 29. John 19, 28 and 29. When Jesus remarked that he was thirsty, a soldier who was a minute earlier tormenting Jesus, whipping him and doing all the bad things to him, he turned around and saw a vessel full of vinegar, and he dipped a sponge inside the vinegar and then tied it on a plant of HYSSOP, on the HYSSOP plant, and gave it to Jesus. And when Jesus tasted the vinegar which was delivered to him on the HYSSOP plant, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and he surrendered his ghost. So as you can see there, that drama on Mount Calvary was brought down by the plant HYSSOP, or the curtain was brought down by the plant HYSSOP. And then the other one in Egypt, which was a shadow of this one, the same plant also appeared there. This is in Exodus 12. The children of Israel were told to slaughter a 1-year-old lamb without any blemish, which was a shadow of Jesus. And then they were told to sprinkle the doorpost and the lintel, which was a symbol of the cross, with the blood of the lamb. But they were specifically told to use the HYSSOP plant. So I wondered why the curtain in Egypt was to be brought down using that plant, and also the curtain on Mount Calvary was also the same plant was used. And I began wondering why, and that is where the journey began, to unravel the mysteries of this plant, because God intended to love it, because there isn't God attached more importance than to restore our relationship with the fallen man. So that is where the race began, to try to unravel the mystery of this plant. I also noted one thing as I plowed through the Bible, that in most times God told Moses in quite a number of rituals concerning purification, cleansing, and the sealing of covenants. God directed Moses to use the plant HYSSOP. So I also wondered why didn't God had to direct Moses to use this plant so many times. It's unfortunate that Moses never asked God, why is it that you are directing me, or you are telling me to use this plant in almost all sacrifices? What is so special about this plant? It's unfortunate Moses did not ask God that question, and God did not see the need to tell Moses why quite often he was referring him to this plant. So the plant just remained there. No explanation was given by God, but we see God using it so often. Then we also wonder why, after David having sinned, having taken somebody's wife, and having killed the husband, we are talking about Uriah and Bathsheba, and then Nathan is being sent to David to reprimand him, and David becoming very sorry and very repentant. And when he was repenting, he came up with his famous verse where he said, God, purge me with the HYSSOP, and I shall be clean. Cleanse me, and I will be whiter than snow. So David went to this plant and was requesting God to just come up with that plant, touch him, and he was sure that he was going to be very clean. So this also added my curiosity to follow this plant. Then that is how the race to unravel the mystery of HYSSOP started. It started in this botanical garden, and it prompted me to do further research and then come up with what I have written in this. That was the springboard of this book, one topic of the book, which is HYSSOP, the plant God loves most. Then, having realized that God was very particular about this plant and he loved it so much, I decided to ask myself, can we know the botanical identity of this plant? And then that is where I found myself plowing through all the books and then going to the internet, and I did realize that theologians who have written on this plant have fallen into three groups, but all the schools of thought about this plant by these theologians were not very satisfactory, because most groups were talking about a plant which was only one foot above the ground. And HYSSOP, if it was able to lift vinegar from the basin to the mouth of Jesus, and assuming that Jesus was a man of about 5 feet, and maybe he was about 2 or 3 feet above the ground, then you can imagine that his mouth was about 80 feet. So he needed an aid or something which was more than one foot. So I did realize that the true botanical identity of HYSSOP must be a plant which has long branches, which could have helped the Roman soldier to lift the vinegar from the hot the vessel to the mouth of Jesus. So I disqualified quite a number of theories by theologians, and I settled on one theory where I aligned myself with one theological group which we are suggesting that the HYSSOP plant could be a plant called Capparis spinosa. So I went for Capparis spinosa, and I found a plant in this country called Kenya, which looks more or less like the Capparis spinosa. And then I began doing research on it, and I did realize that this plant was able to cure so many diseases. I did a lot of, I tried it on so many patients, and I found it curing cancer, high blood pressure, sickle cell anemia, and many other diseases. And then I began giving people medicine on a very large scale, and the Kenyan authorities noted what I was doing, and as per this time we are planning how we can collaborate with the government with a view of looking into this plant from a medicinal point of view. So that is how I came across the plant HYSSOP, and I have written it very widely in this book, and I'm inviting people to come and read what I've written in this book about the plant HYSSOP. Then when I was writing about the plant HYSSOP, other ideas came about, because this thing came in some kind of unplanned manner. I did not plan like the other authors do to write a book. It just came out of the blues, and I began writing about the HYSSOP. Then when I finished the HYSSOP, other titles also, other subjects also came along, and I was getting messages from above, and I found myself writing about other topics like polygamists also go to heaven, that Jesus Christ is not Jesus of Nazareth, and also doctrines and commandments of people. So that is how this book came about, and then at some later stage I will talk about the other topics which are also appearing in this book.